Hello, everyone, and welcome to Optimize Your Life Summit. I'm your host, Tamara Childs, and today I'm sitting with a very special person. This is Dr. Manijeh Motaghy. She is an organizational psychologist and a teacher of mindfulness, amongst many other things. Manijeh, hello.
Hello, Tamara. It's so
It's
good.
so wonderful to see you. It's been such a hectic coming together, but here we are.
Yes. I'm
Yes.
very happy to be with you today.
Oh, as am I. So
Can you hear me well? Is my
I
sound
can I can hear you perfectly.
okay? That's good.
Yes. Um, so self-compassion is a specialty of yours, and I was wondering if you would be willing to share how it is that you've come into an awareness and a skill set with self-compassion. Is there any story that you might share in your life with this?
Well, being a human being, I think
Yeah.
I just recently actually felt a little bit more grateful for self-compassion because I was talking to a friend of mine and was telling them how I just got the COVID and how incredibly difficult it was.
Yes.
And after like 2.5 years of not catching it, being very protective, and my immune system is amazing and all good stuff, right? And I was telling her how every little pain that I experience, it adds to my compassion,
Oh,
you
what
know?
an awareness to have.
Yeah.
First of all, I think one of the things that's bringing us together for this talk is to find some strategies to help people in the post-pandemic time.
Wow.
But there are a lot of people who have maybe gotten sick after the main wave
Right.
and feeling like that sets us back, and then we don't have time to do or energy to do the things that are so important to us. And so you are speaking about, say a little bit more about the pain bringing you into self-compassion.
Yeah. Well, it hits me because a few years ago I had the most tremendous loss of my life, that was loss of my son, my child, who was 26 years old and a very bright, very incredible young man. And just out of nowhere, so sudden, no sickness, no nothing. And so that just incredibly broke every fiber of my being, my soul, my heart, my brain, everything got shattered. And so having these practices of loving kindness, goodwill, compassion,
Mhm.
all of that died in me. It where I couldn't feel, I would have a very strong, very present practice of sending kindness to other people.
Mhm.
And during that first year or two, my heart was, I couldn't do it. I couldn't send kindness and love and good wishes to other people. And so
Yeah.
I talked to my teacher and I thought, I hate this. This is terrible. And he said, Manager, do you know what's happened to you? Do you understand what's happened to you? And so my heart was broken. There was no pieces. I always say to my students that you have to bring love to yourself, and the abundance of it overflows. So
Mhm.
when you don't have it for yourself, in
Yeah.
yourself, how are
Yeah.
you going to give it to anybody else? Obviously, right? But through that loss, my sense of, because every time this grief would hit me, it was like a tsunami and a tornado. Who can prevent a tornado? Who can prevent a tsunami? Nobody can, right? When it would hit me, the first thing that would occur to me would be, oh my God, I wish no being ever experienced this. I mean, that would be my first reaction to this pain of, oh my God, being. So from that door, I was able to really understand the pain and suffering in other ways. other than other ways that I had experienced before. Pain and suffering that a human being experiences due to our perspective, or the way we live our life, the way we are programmed, the way we think that, oh, parents should die before children. It's just out of order. It's confusing. It's horrible. That's just one thing of it, right? So even from then on, this kindness within me has just flourished to no end. I can have no hate or resentment for anybody, even, and it's so good because even when I get disappointed or have some kind of a, disappointment from somebody, it lasts such a small time because I'm able to tap into compassion, like, oh my God, this is not just about me. That person is not perfect. They are programmed in these ways. Oh my God, how do you know the story you're thinking is accurate? Nothing, nothing, nothing. And I can let it go. And that's the result of love for myself, actually. Because who's suffering in this moment? Me. Who's responsible in this moment? Me. Who can do anything about my suffering? Me. Who else can do something about this? It's so unreliable to think that other people can come and save us. It's not reliable. It's possible, but not reliable. So I don't know if I answered you or not. But
Well,
but since then, any other pain that comes to me
yes.
even opens me now to this door of, oh my God, all the people who got the COVID. I didn't know what that felt like. Now I know. I'm grateful about that.
Well, not everyone who is going to be listening to this would have that level of mastery, having such an intense experience of loss. And the way you're framing this for people, though, is that even the biggest, hardest tragedy that is possible is something that can somehow, you're talking about your heart being broken, and yet somehow you've made it whole again and allowed this love to come in and heal something.
Absolutely, absolutely. The day we had his funeral, it was such a beautiful day. I had asked everybody to wear white. There were more than 200 people there. We had it in this very beautiful place. And I fainted. I mean, for the first 35 days, I fainted every day. I mean, my brain couldn't handle this. It was incredible, right? So, but when I finally was able to come and be with the guests and, say something, I made a vow that day that I will not be the mother who's done. I will not be the person who's shattered and there is no light in my eyes. There is no meaning in my life. There is no joy in my heart. No, I refuse. And the reason I could say that was because prior to this incident, I was happy. I had gained. I had recovered from all kinds of wounds. I had reprogrammed my life. I
Yes.
was living a meaningful life. It was a very beautiful life, and it still is. And I wanted that. So, in front of everybody, I made a vow. I said, okay, I hold you witness. And in my broken heart, I'm done. I'm dead. I'm almost, like I have 2% life in me to talk even. But
Yeah.
that 2% came from this place of, I deserve to live a full life, no matter what.
Do you feel, Manijeh, like that was like a voice coming to you and into your heart? Just, I mean, I'm still curious how in such a moment you had a part of you that was saying, I'm not going to be one of these mothers who is lifeless with the world, with the rest of her life because of this tragedy. Um, Something in your spirit must have done some kind of reconnection or some kind of a hookup to allow you that realization and to say that vow.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, the culmination of results of my own life experiences, trainings and teachings and retreats and all kinds of evolutions that I have gone through. with myself and people is something I have come to call life intelligence. I think it's a good segue to go there.
Yes.
And this life intelligence, I named it because in a process of trying to put the pieces of my programs or my teachings in the right place, and I realized, as human beings, we are, brain science shows, we are born partially wired.
Hmm. Say more about that.
Partially wired, meaning,
Partially wired. I need to know
yeah.
more about
Oh
this.
my God, is this every single human being needs to know? This is part of life intelligence that you need to know that when we are born, there is a very good book that you must definitely look into. It's called 7.5 Lessons About the Brain. It was published just a year and a half ago. It's very recent.
Okay.
And in very friendly lay language, you don't have to be a neuroscientist or anything to understand it. It explains.
It's
So
understandable by the average
what it
person.
says is that, okay, so whereas a lizard is born with the program to be a lizard, do what a lizard does, immediately they run and do what they do. Even horses, they give, when they are born, they jump up and they stand up and they become a horse and they do what they need to do. Of course, some animals still depend on their mother or caretaker, but the programming of being that animal is already there. Whereas we humans don't have a program of how to be a human. Everything we know, even, a child, an infant cannot even move a hand voluntarily, has to learn about moving the hand, moving the eyes, look around, pay attention, focus. We have to learn so much language, stand up, sit upright, walk, eat, wash yourself. Oh my God, that's just nothing. The culture that you have to live, the way you live, evolution shows that it is not pre-programmed, because all around the globe, different people around in different nooks of the planet have their own style. So
Yes.
evolution left it for that community to teach this human being how to be a human. So we are being constantly programmed. We need to be programmed, have
Yeah.
a template. And unfortunately, also, the brain, because of efficiency, has three biases. The bias of truth bias, which means whatever you think or someone says to you, your brain elects to accept it as it is true. Unless you're an expert in some area, you're a scientist, you are trained to question things. Otherwise, we just accept things. Somebody says, oh, did you know that this mountain in front of our house over here, someone blew up a part of it because they didn't like the label of the apostles? And I'm like, oh my God, really? Well, I mean, I don't have the resources to go check it out. Okay. And then the second bias is novelty.
Okay.
Whatever is new, you become open to it, curious about, oh, really, that mountain over here? Wow. So you go tell somebody else, you go tell somebody, as if it's the truth, it's the fact. Now, this person might have just made up the interpretation of
Mhm.
something that happened, something got, broken, and they just had this good story about it. They tell you. And the third bias is confirmation bias. Oh my God. Now that you have that truth in your mind, anybody else who says anything, if it confirms the original truth, then your brain will accept it.
Mhm.
And anything else is like, I don't know. I don't. That's why it's so hard to change. We have all these truths wired and coded into our psyche
Yeah.
about anything and everything. And if you're not trained to investigate, to look and question every thought, which is what I do and what I teach, to question every thought, every feeling, not because chances are you're going to take, your brain will take it as a truth and build on it how many thousand times, have you realized that, oh my God, I was wrong? I was
Yeah.
thinking such and such. That wasn't right. Oh, I can't believe it. And we still believe our own stuff because
Well,
nobody tells us otherwise.
so we're born and are molded because we have to be programmed, but then it's almost like the way we're wired or not wired causes us to get layers of programming that aren't helpful.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. So the way the brain is designed to, for efficiency purposes, take everything as true. And then the way the environment will give us data, information about the other's perspective of everything. And then we have interpretation.
Yeah.
So we're not completely at the mercy of the brain wiring and anybody else who says. We also have our own unique interpretations. Think about, siblings living in a household, right? Everybody has a different perspective of, I don't remember what you're saying about mom used to do this or dad, whatever. And I don't know. I know that's other thing. Or for example, my grandmother, I was just incredibly in awe with her. She was the mother-in-law of my mother. My mother had a different perspective of her
Yes.
than I.
Yes.
Same woman, right? Same person. So truth does not exist really. It's in the interpretation and stories that we have. And if we don't examine them, which is part of this life intelligence that I'm talking about, that we need to examine every single thing and learn how to examine. And when you arrive at a conclusion that you could rely on it, right? And so, okay, so put this over here. The other part of life intelligence is that as we go through learning human, we learn bits and pieces of life,
Mhm.
with some from our educational system, some from parents, some from the neighbors, some from the some because we're interested in it. We don't get a whole picture as far as our stance in the big picture of life, right? Big picture of life. For example, there are all these there's 8.7 million types of species. Can you even fathom?
No.
8.7 million types of species. We're one of those 8.7 million types. And we have no clue about all this other type of life. We have such a small little relationship, maybe to our dog or cat or fish but everything else we either despise or we think of as what is it giving me, the chicken, the beef, the cow,
Mhm.
how do they serve me, or oh, do they look beautiful or do they sound beautiful? It's all about me in the middle of all of this. But it's such a wrong view, such a limited wrong view that we have, and we suffer for it needlessly.
There's a perspective that I'm hearing in your talk about this, that we have a lot that we could learn from the natural world, and we're not wired exactly like other species. I observed the other day a doe who had her baby, a little spotted fawn that was just wiggly wobbly. It probably had almost just been born, and she was against a building in the shade, in the shadow where it was cool. And her baby, she would reach out and lick her baby a little bit, and it would wobble over and then curl up against her, and then they weren't going very far. And I thought about that because I've seen baby horses and baby deer, how they are like in a few days they get up and they walk in a way that we do not, as you're saying.
That's right.
And so this life intelligence, are you saying that there's something in our culture or the programming of our culture that is causing us to feel more broken or separated than we should from nature?
Oh, definitely, definitely. You see, because we don't know everything we're supposed to know. So, what I have done is, after all of my discoveries, I have put them into category, made it easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm offering in my book, I'm suggesting three main domains of life
Mm-hmm.
that we humans need to understand. Number one domain is systems that govern us, both natural systems and
Mm-hmm.
constructed systems.
Okay.
Natural systems, one of the natural systems is what? Is life and death. There is no life and death. Do you understand? There is no beginning or end to anything. It's just the transition from, like a baby that I would call my son, my child. The moment I call this my son, my child, oh my God, is now open for all kinds of suffering. But when I actually know scientifically, logically, rationally, understanding systems of the world, that this before this became my body, use my body that became a human being. It was an egg and a sperm and two other, my body, another body, and came
Mm-hmm.
from other bodies and other bodies and other bodies. And this body here is made out of elements, is water and solid and air and and space and fire element. And it's just not me. There is no me here that could be a lasting entity. It's all shifting and morphing and changing, and it's changing. So
Yeah.
life and death doesn't exist, first of all. Second of
Wow.
all, change is a natural phenomenon. If
Mm-hmm.
there was no change, I couldn't move my hands, I couldn't talk, I couldn't grow. There was nothing could exist. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
I
Nothing can exist. What can exist without change?
Well, you know what you're reminding me of. I'm a gardener and I love my flowers and my gardens and my baby robins with the moms and the eggs every spring, and they chatter at me when I go out to put my flowers in the ground. And there's a cycle though, like then those baby robins, they lose their spottedness and they become the new mommies and daddies, and the trees lose their leaves and then we go into winter. So there's a cycle of constant change. Like the wind blows, then it rains, then it's dry, then it's cold. And
It's
and
not
and
personal.
it's not, yeah, exactly. It's not personal. And yet, and
Yes.
yet when we, because one of the reasons I'm having you on the summit is this discussion of overwhelm, how we get emotionally overwhelmed and fried because everything's changing, the economy, the landscape, the political landscape, and people are feeling
Yes.
triggered.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because we don't want it to change.
So as part of life intelligence, if
Yeah.
we were, see, you're lucky to live in an environment where you're able to witness and be a part of this very beautiful natural environment, right? Not everybody is. And when we are not taught, not exposed, do not understand that change, good or bad, is not personal.
Mm.
It's a product of cause and effect and conditions.
Mm-hmm.
We have a say so in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say, oh, whatever is happening, just accept it. No, 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 no. First, you accept it so you don't suffer for it. You say, oh, yeah, oh, this is happening. Okay. You don't suffer for it. Then you bring an awareness to, okay, what action?
Mm-hmm.
So the terminology accountability, I have totally revamped it, because usually accountability is like after the fact, you take responsibility for the outcome. Usually that's what it is, right? Hold them accountable, hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
But the way I teach accountability is to account, is an ability to account
Mm.
for what? An ability to account for our thoughts, our intentions, our feelings, our choices, then the actions, then the outcome. When you account for, meaning you're with it, You are experiencing it. You can see where it's leading, right? So it's not all it's happening to us. Oh, the government this. And I always challenge my students, like, don't make a big statement like the government, the political, the economy. What is economy? Economy doesn't exist. Economy is just a concept. But these are the outcome. Whatever we're seeing is the outcome of choices, actions, interpretations. A lot of times people don't have a good education about all these, what I'm putting under the, life intelligence auspices, right? When they don't have it, when they are programmed differently, how can you expect them to act other than their programming?
Mhm.
This is, you know,
This is a process. Do you feel like this is an educational process of learning as a species to be more
yes.
accountable for the the creation that happens here?
Yes, to be accountable. Absolutely. You are constantly creating. What are you creating? Like, for example, when I was in the middle of COVID on this, I was in bed and I was dying. I was just unbelievable the first like 3, 4 days. So I have high fever, pain, body ache, and the ache and pain was burning pain. I've never experienced anything like it. All
Yeah.
of my joints, everything, to a
Yeah.
point where I had ice pack everywhere, ice pack everywhere to calm so in the middle of all this, I'm just thinking about this virus.
Mhm.
I'm thinking this virus is a live entity
Mm.
on its own terms. It has a right to be,
Mhm.
you know
Mhm. It's part of it's part
it,
of
it has a right to be. It exists. How come I have the right to be? I exist. And so I began to have a conversation with this COVID. I said, okay, all right, so you need a host, I need to be alive, let's not kill each other.
Okay,
You
you're the first person that I've ever talked to who has said they had a conversation with COVID. But we
Yeah,
need to hear more of this.
it comes from that compassion we were talking about in the beginning.
Wow.
Me
Yes.
giving a space for this virus to have existence. Do you understand? I mean, this is not a,
Wow.
yeah, of course it sounds crazy, like enemy. Yes, enemy needs to exist here. So I just kind of with myself, with my own, like I went into, like, I don't know, they might call it the alpha space or whatever. And I just had a chat with her. I said, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to harm you.
Mm.
I don't mean to kill you. I don't want to kill you. No. And my body is doing this right now because I recognize that all of the discomfort I am experiencing is not necessarily the COVID, but my body fighting it,
You're just
resisting and fighting it. The incredible fight my body is doing is the fever, is the ache, is all of that. It's not necessarily the COVID. And you could really extrapolate this to any other situation where you resist, you say overwhelm. Overwhelm comes because we tighten up, we resist, we reject, we hate, we don't want it. You have to give it a little room, give the issue a little room. Like I had a couple clients who were here yesterday, husband and wife. They're like, I hate him, he hates me, whatever. And I said, look, the first thing to know is that you are a man, you're a woman, you're different.
mm.
The way you think is different, the way you feel, the way you are, please give a little room for this, give a space for this differentness.
Mhm.
So you don't expect the wife to expect him to be exactly like her. I mean, it's nonsense. Yeah.
Well, and we know that women often, wish men were being, more like women. And it's like, well, no, then you probably
They
wouldn't
are
like
great.
that much.
Right.
This is a different, thinking and body system and
Right,
chemicals.
right. So part of this life intelligence, the
Mhm.
first domain was systems. We talked a little bit about it. The second domain is the planet. we have we really have no, you are a rare person to have a relationship with the planet and other beings on the planet. Our relationship is minute, you know, only the things we consume, only the things that has to do with us, or we admire, oh, the sky is beautiful, or the stars, or whatever, the moon is this way and the flowers are that way, and
Yeah.
we have no deep appreciation or connection to I am you.
Mm.
I am you. I told the virus, I am you. You are me. You want to be alive, and I am alive. Let's find a way to live together. I don't want to kill you.
Wow.
You don't kill me. Let's just. So it's an attitude. If it
Yeah.
worked or not, I don't know if it worked, but it's my internal relationship
Mhm.
to other beings on this planet,
Mhm.
right? This is highly intelligent
Mhm.
to expand yourself to think in these ways. So that's just one example, right? And then the third domain is the human domain, the domain of we have a brain that's wired in this way, we have, the society that teaches us that, we have all kinds of our relationship to our mates, to our livelihood, to our, so these are three different domains that I feel like every human being needs to be educated and trained to live in an interdependent
Mhm.
reality.
Mm.
Everything is interdependent.
Mhm.
That's the reality. We don't know how to live in an interdependent reality. We live in the human society.
Mhm.
Heck with the virus. How dare you want to live? And you come and you wipe us out? You know, like, give it some room. This is an entity, a live entity that's here. Can I just have, negotiate a little?
You
Anyway.
know, I was walking the other day and I was laughing at myself, Manijeh, because I saw sometimes like on the dirt path, I saw a little tiny beetle bug that was upside down with his all his legs in the air, and
Yeah.
he was struggling on his back. And I was like, what can I use to turn him back over safely? And I was like, a blade of grass. And then I tried a little stick, and I spent a few minutes doing this. And I laughed at myself after because I wanted to get him off the path. I wanted to get him, and at first he didn't take to the blade of grass, and then he liked the little stick. Anyway, and I did my little deed because I don't like to step on things
Oh my
when
God.
I'm, yeah, and
Yeah.
I but it's like what you're saying is so.
But you have to have a lot of awareness of
Yeah.
your surrounding.
Yeah.
When you go in for a walk,
Yes.
similarly with me, I go for a walk and I see a bug running on in my path. And I just tell myself, okay, I can go around it. I can step over it. Why should I? Why should I even go close to threaten this other being? I'm gonna turn around and go the other way.
Oh, that's great.
you know because
Yes.
being aware that every life matters for them, it matters to them. It doesn't matter they don't look beautiful to us.
Well, one of the things that you're talking about, so, every person has, for lack of a better way to say this, but many people will understand how I say this, everyone has an ego construct that is sort of this compartment of self that we've developed through our programming. And I feel like we're in a space culturally and in terms of evolution where we just can't really afford, like, our eggs are cracking, our little identities are shattering because if we keep seeing me versus you, me versus that, me versus that, then all we're ever doing is splitting everything up, and we're not integrating, we're not coming together. And so from what you're saying, overwhelm comes from partly this sense of I'm me in my cubicle of myself and all of my things, and I don't want something to happen to me, and things are happening to me, and it's those neighbors, or it's that thing happening, or it's things with the economy to me. And what you're saying is to move into more awareness that there's not really a me. It's all just
Yeah,
fluctuating. It's all natural, a part of nature and change. And that might be, so there's a level of acceptance, I think, in your teaching for those listening, if they can receive what you're saying, because I feel like this is very high level for a lot of people who, but the people who are watching this and will be attracted to the summit are going to want to hear you, because you're really teaching. I mean, if you can go through what you went through personally, which is sort of it's sort of like what we consider a nightmare of an experience to have, and then from that being able to say, I'm going to still live a beautiful life, and I'm going to walk around the bug, and I'm going to say hello to COVID and to the virus. Hello, there you are. Let's not kill each other. This
right.
is this is a really interesting teaching for those listening who get so stiff and defended against the things that could possibly happen, that they're scared
Definitely.
of.
Yeah. So, okay. So the life intelligence that I'm offering, the three domains, I'm also offering a 5-stage, what I call human software optimization,
Mm.
which with that, then what you're asking for can be possible. Meaning, these 5 stages, number one is you get some knowledge. Like right now, I'm saying, look, change is not personal. The other entities also live and they are alive. And if we are considerate of them, we would suffer less.
Mm-hmm.
Part two is awareness authentication. This knowledge that came to you to counter the truth bias, you go and check it out, authenticate. Is it true or not?
Yeah.
If I don't resist, if I relax around, this illness, this difficulty, this whatever it, if I relax around it, would that make it easier or not? Check it out. Don't just accept it and say, it's like I say, Rumi has a beautiful poem, right? Rumi, this great, incredible philosopher of the all time, right? He says, this being a human is a guest house.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning there's a joy that visits, anger comes, depression comes. Welcome them as if they are your beloved guest, you know, beloved guest. Okay, so it's like, okay, it's easy for Rumi to say. Rumi is a Persian, whatever. Persians, even the hospitality is to the roof. Even the enemy is, welcomed. It's easy for him to say he's a philosopher, he's an accomplished, whatever. But the idea is the guest.
Yeah.
What makes a guest a guest? They don't
Mm.
live there.
Mm.
Temporary, they're leaving.
Okay. Yeah.
What we take. So you can, whatever teaching that comes to you, you can authenticate it for yourself, put it to test, verify, yes, this is true, or no, it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
The third level stage is once you have verified that, oh, yeah, this is a worthy teaching or knowledge for me to actually, then you develop practices to live in accordance with this, right? So when everybody's, all the scientists are saying around the world, look, the planet is in dire state of destruction. We
Mm-hmm.
only have 10, 20 years before the tipping point of all of the boundaries of the planet are being broken, and there is nothing else we could do. Then all the ice in the North Pole, South Pole are melting. The planet is going to be flooded. Look, nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're selfish or narcissist or not, or happy or spiritual or not, nothing is going to matter unless we wake up and we become part of everything. And so we develop ways of living in accordance with this knowledge. And the fourth stage is as you develop, you transform. These ways of living become second nature to you, right? The fifth stage is optimization, which will not happen until you have accumulated all three domains of life intelligence. Then you are optimized. So if enlightenment is really far away or vague, or we don't know what that means, go for human software optimization. go for this kind of rewiring,
Yeah.
recoding, decoding, changing all of our systems, and so it's possible for all of us. If I could do it, why not you or anybody else?
So, so this optimization process, um, the first stage is an awareness that we're part of an ecosystem. And something that really caught my attention is when you said, to sort of come into, or I forget exactly how you said it, but to connect with other systems, to be open to connecting, and then to check, is something true or not true, that I think is true. So checking, and that things are not personal. So we check things. We check to see, is something really true for us? And can we have
Yes.
another point of view about it?
Yeah, we have to investigate everything we think, because most of everything we think, our interpretations are not the actual real thing,
Mhm.
is a parallel, reasonable story about it. We have to check everything, and we don't know everything, so we go and learn. We go expand our awareness into, so what's going on. Why is everybody talking about the planet? This planet doesn't look like it's in danger. Why is everybody talking about this, or why are they? Let me go check it out a little bit more. And how could that make me a happier person? It
Mhm.
could make me a happier person when I understand that a lot of things that happen is a product of natural change and
Mhm.
is not personal. Is not personal. Like if
There's
I got the COVID, then I say, why not me?
yeah, yeah,
Why not? Everybody's got it, why
yeah.
not me? I've tried not to get it, but I got it too. So not taking it personal.
Mhm.
Now, if I want to take it personal, who gave it to me? How did it come? Of course, you go check a little bit
Yeah.
because it may be useful to look into that.
Mhm.
But as beyond that, if I'm going to suffer for it, then that's just my doing, my adding to it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's your accountability there. If or anyone's, with deciding that something has a meaning that causes us suffering. Um,
Learn to so to reduce overwhelm.
yeah.
Really learn to account for your thoughts. Everything begins from a thought
Hmm.
or a feeling.
Hmm.
And then that goes into a story. Like, for example, now we talk about the loss of my son. Do you think I'm done with grieving? Oh my God, it comes to me out of nowhere all of a sudden. Like
Yeah.
I'm passing by the hallway, I see a baby picture of his. No, I've been seeing this, it's been going on, I've been fine, I've been happy, nothing bothered me. All of a sudden it gets me. It gets me. And you know what I do now? I just, oh my God, I know the pain. I know where it's going to take me. So what I do is I say, what's the use? What's the use? I even think of my son and I want to say, I want to die for you. I want to kill myself, die for you. Then I say, what's the use? What is the use? Nothing. There is no benefit in my suffering. If there was a little bit of benefit, I would do it. I would suffer to no end, but there is no benefit to it. So, this is a constant internal investigation and looking at what's arising.
Hmm.
What am I going to engage in? Is this to my first of all, my best interest? Is it? No. Do I have to suffer to prove I love? I love. But do you know my love is pure? It includes me,
Mm.
you
And we,
know? It's
yeah.
all inclusive. You cannot be outside of the love you give.
Mm.
You have to be inside of it. You must not suffer. Why would I talk to COVID? It's for me. Like, come on, you're making me suffer. Let's just. It's an attitude of collaborate with rather than resist and fight and hate. You know.
It's an acceptance of all that is, what I'm hearing from you. Like accepting, even when we're talking about Rumi or Hafiz, and that wonderful poetry. I have so many Hafiz books, and this whole thing about that. There's like this joy to just, yeah, these are just guests coming. These are guests, and it's such a human experience. So, I wonder if we just accepted that all emotions, as well as illnesses and health and birth and death and all of the transits that we go through, are just part of the natural world as we are.
They are, but also they are some, a lot of it are constructed by us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all natural. Like for example, even emotions,
Yeah.
brain science, recent brain science tell us emotions are not inherent. We're not born with them. Do you understand the difference between this? I mean, there are billions of dollars built around emotional intelligence, which is
Yes.
built on faulty premise. Emotions are not inherent. We're not, that's why different cultures, different people, you may look at them and think like, I can't believe they look so cold, or they don't,
Mm-hmm.
they're not,
Yes.
or they're too angry, or they're too
Yes.
reactive, or they're too cold, or they're too whatever, or they have no shame, or they have shame, or it's all constructed by human being. And emotions originally are produced in us by our brain to tell us that our body budget is off.
Ah.
You lack sleep, you need to sleep. It produces an uncomfortable emotion, so
Mm-hmm.
you pay attention. But because we're not educated about our own internal
Mm-hmm.
experience and know why,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you could have a really tight belt.
Yeah.
A guy, there was a client again who came here with their father and mother, and the son had a really tight belt, and I could see he was very, uptight about what the parents are saying. And so I said, okay, I detect some emotions here with you that you're internally going, I have a suggestion for you. He says, but I said, if you don't mind, with all due respect, and I hope this is not kind of embarrassing or too personal, would you take your belt off?
Oh,
So
that's
he
great.
says, why? What does that have to do with anything? I said, well, let's just check it out. So he took his belt off, and sure enough, immediately he says, I
So,
said, okay, part of your discomfort is your brain telling you there is something that needs to change inside of you for your
yeah,
comfort,
yeah.
and you don't know what it is. And you are looking at the parents, whatever they say, it doesn't matter. They're saying loving words or, disagreeable words. You are taking it very difficult. So, how do you feel now? He said, he said, comfortable. I'm more comfortable. I can't believe you noticed it and I didn't. So these emotions, you see, we transform them into a story that kind of sounds logical.
That's so interesting. I think this is a really interesting perspective uh, that emotions are signalers, or they're signaling something for us to make an adjustment, and there's no story, but we do attach a story, and that is part of overwhelm as
You're
well.
tired,
Yeah.
you haven't taken care of yourself, and you walk in the hallway, and a coworker, opens the
Yeah.
door, and all of a sudden, because you're in a bad mood, you see them, you think, oh, they must be whatever.
Yeah. We
it,
make up we make
it's
an
so fast. This is our ego, the ego you talked
yeah.
about, you know.
Oh my goodness.
So
Well,
we can talk until tomorrow.
we can. And, I think that um, even if we just leave people with this, I mean, people are going to have to watch this several times, I believe, to really understand everything you've said. You've brought so many interesting things into this conversation that I think are so helpful for reducing overwhelm, um, taking accountability, not taking things personally,
Yes.
beginning to watch what are your interpretations. These are just wonderful, and I love your work. I love what you're bringing, and I want to thank you so much for being with us today, Manijeh. Um, would would you please, just, how can people have a little bit more of you? How can they find you? Do you want to direct people
Yeah.
to connect with you?
Sure. Well, I have two websites. One is my personal website, which is you can just put drmanijeh.com, and they can subscribe to my blogs. I write these teachings once, every week or so. Also, there is another nonprofit organization that I have called Perfectly Here, HERE.org, which I teach formal courses, retreats, and also we have a 20-year vision I've written, which is on our website, for 2042. And my vision is that with these training programs, teaching life intelligence to people around the globe,
Mhm.
and forming alliances with organizations that teach different aspects that I am not the expert in, like scientific aspects that I'm not the expert in, or solutions that people already have. So I see a bright future despite all the destruction that's happening everywhere. And it's not just the automatic bright future, but because we're going to be training, teaching, educating, training people, and most importantly, teaching them kindness and compassion for all beings,
Mm.
no matter who they are. Look, it's to our advantage. The possibility, imagine the possibility of the worst people on the planet to be healthy and happy and peaceful. Oh my God, what an amazing possibility that your enemy can be peaceful, happy, and content. They couldn't act the way they do,
Mhm.
right? So, perfectlyhere.org and drmanijeh.com. And I also have a YouTube channel. I'm sure you'll put these links somewhere. They'll find it.
Uh,
Yeah.
Manijeh, thank you so much for this. I've enjoyed this so much. I know the first time we talked, I was just so enthralled with your knowledge and your information, and I've loved every minute of this interview. So thank you so much for being with
My
us.
pleasure. And I've enjoyed it very much. And thank you for doing this and bringing experts and getting the juice out,
Yeah, yeah, getting
yeah,
the juice out of life. And
yeah, yeah,
I love ending on that optimistic note. And just, I feel like you're teaching empathy too, just empathy. And the
yeah.
more empathy we can have in the world for ourselves and for all living beings, it just,
Yes.
this is the way forward. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I'll talk with you soon.
Definitely. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye bye.